acting like it. Live video is starting.
Did it work? What'd you do? Are you still there, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you are live
Okay,
now.
goodbye.
Okay, sorry, technical difficulties for us on the live end.
Hold up, I hung up on him.
We are here. All right. Oh, I can hear
Are we going?
the video. Yes, so we're a little delayed with what's actually going on, but all right. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. Thank you for joining us.
Every time we do this, we get actually worse and worse at it. Not quite
Somehow.
sure how that's possible.
Yes. All right. About time. Sorry, Mikey. We're working on.
How many people did we lose?
Yeah, we might have lost some people, but we had some technical difficulties. We obviously don't understand the whole live process on the Facebook groups yet, so we're figuring it out. We had a little help on the side, and we're going. So, thanks, guys, for joining us.
We fish. We don't do computer stuff.
Nobody said we were technical geniuses. That is for sure. So we got a couple people on.
Do we got a couple? We're just gonna wait.
Yeah.
I've already waited 5 minutes. I
Well,
feel
we're
bad.
already behind,
Yeah.
so we don't need to wait too
No,
long.
okay.
but-
Go ahead, start us off on.
So we just wanted to go live from location. We are at Lake Vermilion this week. We are staying at Everett Bay Lodge. So we wanted to just touch on, if you guys have any questions on the lodge itself. We have Daryl and Debbie here. They're going to pop in if you have any questions on amenities they offer, things like that. And then obviously we're going to talk about fishing. And then any other questions that you guys might have pertaining to Sportsman's Journal. We'd be more than happy to answer those as well. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the questions. If I
You got any good ones yet?
no, if I
Like,
miss
how
something,
come you guys suck at getting on Facebook Live?
we're good.
Okay. I need to let it go.
Yeah, let it go. Move on, man.
Okay.
So, but so we checked into Everett Bay Lodge on Friday.
Yep.
I don't even know what.
Friday.
I know what day of the week it was. I don't even know the date. September or something.
3rd, 2nd,
And
3rd.
we got here in the evening. We checked in. We got all into our cabin.
We're in the lodge right now.
And we're sitting in their main lodge. This is where we came, and I picked up some swag, and their lodge is really cool. Maybe we'll move
Do a
the
walk
computer
around. I don't know if we trust ourselves with that.
Move the
Before we
computer.
jump into the Everett Bay stuff, we'll kind of talk a little bit about what Sarah and I have been up to. We just got done with bear season, so that was a big thing for us.
Lake?
At Cliff Lake, we got done with the bear season. We shot some really, really big bears. It was kind of a little different type of a season because it was wet.
It was
lot of rain.
it was a little bit more of a challenging season. There was the last couple years we've experienced heavy drought up in Northwest Ontario, and this year there was a lot of rain, obviously a lot of flooding up here in the northern part of the United States and into Northwest Ontario. And so that I joked around earlier this spring. We had a lot of bug hatches.
Yep.
We had a lot of seeds from the trees coming. So I just said everything was kind of dormant for the last 2 years, and now it's just this major, massive bug hatch and bushes and berries and all this stuff going on. So the bush has really come alive this year. So made it a little more challenging with the bears. They didn't have to be as patterned as much. They didn't have to stick around if they didn't want to, if they didn't like something. But we still had a pretty good season.
A lot of
Yeah,
blueberries.
We wrapped that up literally the day before we came down.
Yeah.
So
And there's some, since we're up in Canada all the time, not all the time, but most of the majority of summer. And so we hear a lot of news that's happening. And so a big one that's just happened is the MNR is not allowing.
no, the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Oh, it's the U.S. side. See, I shouldn't talk. I should just let Sarah speak. You can't take any wild game, whether it's grouse, woodcock, duck, goose, across the border back
Any
home.
birds that are hunter shot are not allowed back across into the United States right now.
If
That
you
just
have a
passed.
trip planned to go hunt grouse, which actually opens on September 15th
bring 'em
in
back.
Northwest Ontario, you have to eat them there. So do not attempt to take back any grouse, ducks, geese, woodcock.
Yeah, they were up until just a few days ago, right before the Labor Day weekend, they were allowing certain birds, except for in certain high-risk areas with
Yeah.
avian flu, and they just changed it and said no more. So that's kind of a bummer. And who knows
Yeah.
how long that'll stay in play?
Yeah, it's always something. Still can't bring eggs.
No,
That's
no.
the big deal.
Those with the avian bird
Yep.
flu, yeah, no eggs and chicken. So, but great partnership between Daryl and Debbie, Tyler and Sara. This is awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we're super excited. So yeah, so we wrapped up bear season. We headed down here on Friday.
Yep.
We got checked in, settled into our cabin, and then Saturday the rest of our crew came, and we launched the boat, and we just kind of
proceeded to catch walleyes.
I had to go to Target because I forgot towels, but I didn't mind a Target trip. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been to Target in a
No,
while,
yeah, that's
so.
right. When you come back down across the border, you like to go to Target.
You know, Reagan went with me. She picked out some stuff she needed, so we had fun. We're in Minnesota. I had to go to Target.
Yeah. Another couple big things about Sportsman's Journal is we are airing on Bally's Midwest this year, so we're pretty excited about that. That's actually a really big deal for us. So that's basically it's adding 7 more states in the Midwest to our broadcast. So we're really pumped about that.
Yeah.
And then, so the states are Iowa is going to get it, all of Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, and did I forget one? I think that's all of them. Yeah. So that's a big deal for us. We're excited about that. And then Waypoint TV is another one we added. So that's a lot of digital stuff. So they have an app. You can go and stream it on your phone. We'll have a library on there. You guys can watch it right from all of our previous episodes and all of our new stuff. So we're really excited about that.
Still the standbys,
Yep.
Bally's North, Bally's Wisconsin, The Pursuit, and then KOTV too. So all there, and then we added these other channels on. So
Yeah.
that's going to be exciting. And we start our new episodes will start airing. I'm not sure which Saturday, but very end of November or first Saturday in December, one of those two. So
Yeah, we're
coming up.
oh geez.
Oh.
I clicked the wrong thing.
We went black for a minute.
We went black for a second.
That's
Sorry
the
about that.
technical side of things. I was clicking buttons.
Yeah, so another thing we'll talk about is the fishing that we've experienced this summer. It's been, where we're at, really low water
Thank you,
temps.
Twin Cities.
We barely got above 70, and a lot of lakes in our area have not got really above 72, 73. So,
Cooler year.
so it's been a really cool year. We had high water levels to begin the season. In our area, a lot of that stuff has went back down to normal. And the water temp is probably still in the 70s. So it's been weird. It hasn't really peaked to what we normally see, but it's kind of plateaued at 69, 70, 71 for a longer period of time. I mean, it's September 7th today. So right now we should be experiencing up in Northwest Ontario where Cliff is, and a lot of lakes we fish, you're looking at what? You're pushing low 60s, mid 60s at least, and we're in the 70s still. So it's kind of been a little weird of a year. Weed growth has kind of been lacking a little bit. And I think that's to the late start for growth, so it just never got there. Not really good thick weeds. So a lot of fish, muskies in particular, have been relating to rocks. So I think rock bite's going to be good going into this fall. Walleyes are starting to transition.
It's coming. Fall
Yep.
is, we're feeling it. It was Friday night we got here. It got down to 40 degrees.
Yes,
Like,
it was
Saturday was
in
chilly.
Tower,
Saturday
Minnesota.
morning.
Got down. I didn't see any frost. That hasn't happened
Not
yet.
yet.
Not yet, but it's
They
coming.
kill all the bugs.
Yeah, the bugs actually aren't too bad.
No,
I don't think.
they're not right. They're not too bad. They're not too bad here. The bugs are actually really good.
Yeah,
Don't talk to me about bugs at camp.
we got pine beetles everywhere.
But
So Everett Bay is on the east side of Lake Vermilion, and it is owned by Debbie and Daryl Hoffman, and they're going to join us here in a little bit. And it's our first time to fish Vermilion. I'm sure a lot of people out there have fished Vermilion before. We have not. It's 40,000 acres, very diverse fishery, and it's a beautiful lake. It's the furthest south Canadian shield lake, so it was really interesting to see it and to fish it. And I'll say the one thing I was really surprised was the water clarity. I thought it would be a little more clear, but it's a dark. It's not dirty, but it's kind of a dark stain type of lake.
Tannin, yeah.
And with that, I figured, there'd be a lot of fish that are shallow. And it seems to be that a lot of fish are in that we experienced this week, 18 to 22, 23 foot range, but all kind of transition related. So it was a lot of find that transition in 18, 19 feet of big boulders, rocks, and then that kind of turns into sand and muck, and that's where pretty much all the fish are hanging.
Most of them.
Yeah.
For the better part of the week.
I bet you we caught 200 fish.
I have no idea.
A lot.
We got a lot.
We caught a lot of fish, a lot of good eaters.
Lot
So
of
it
walleye.
was really fun, and you can do it in a lot of different ways. We got guys out there, a lot of guys trolling, spinners. That's what we did majority of the time, and then you got guys pulling lead cord cranks, and then you have guys that are Lindy rigging, and they're all doing this kind of on that transition spot. And I mean, you go by a boat and you give them 2 minutes, and they're setting the hook on a fish. So there's plenty of fish. That was really good. It's really good to see a good year class too. We caught a lot of 8-inchers,
wide
a
variety of
lot of
size.
10 and 12s, and then a lot of those 15 to 17 inchers. Those good eaters.
And there were a lot of slot fish
Yeah.
caught that we didn't, but that
Yeah.
other people had caught around us.
I think the biggest one this week, Daryl, was we got 26 and a quarter.
Yep.
So far,
26 and a quarter.
26 and a quarter, but a couple other 25s. Some big muskies were raised this week, so that's exciting. Sarah's a little bummed that we didn't get the muskie fish, but
Tyler saw a fish surface, and then we saw several fish
we saw 5 or 6
on the
on the Mega
and
Live. Yeah,
I just about cried.
yeah.
Can I ask a
Next
quick
time.
question?
Yes.
So, Sarah, did you catch any northern this week that you posted any aftermath on
Yeah.
Facebook?
So I don't know if you guys can hear Daryl, but he's asking me if I if I caught any northern with some aftermath. Actually, my very first fish
Yep.
on Lake Vermilion. We were out trolling, and we were lindy rigging actually.
We were pulling a jig at you.
And set the hook. Ooh, this is nice. It feels good. It's going to be a really nice walleye. There's boats all around. It's Labor Day weekend. Like, oh yeah, this is good. I pulled up about a 24-inch northern and unhooked it and was hanging over the side of the boat, holding it vertical and waiting for everybody to get ready at the camera to pull it out. And the fish just went absolutely crazy, and my hand is pretty much healed. But cut my hand all up, and I posted on my page of little walleye, and I had some pretty awesome band-aids on it. So.
Yeah, the thing bled like a stuck hog.
My hands wouldn't stop bleeding, so
Yeah.
it was
We almost had to take her to ER.
no.
No?
We have a question. Do we anticipate Canada easing their COVID vaccination requirements in 2023? It has to be affecting business in Canada.
So I'll start with that, and then I'll let you finish it. Business-wise, yes, it is affecting business. There are a lot of, so the big things, just to be frank with everybody, there's 2 big things going on. Number 1 is that if the head person of the group is not vaccinated, that affects the group coming. That's just what we've learned and experienced. So
As far as booking.
so we're losing a lot of big groups. So if there's 7 or 8 guys and one guy is not vaccinated and he's the guy who the reservation's under, that usually falls apart. So we've had a lot of smaller groups, easier to get more people or those people vaccinated. They only need 2 vaccinated instead of 8. And then another thing that we're just putting the pieces together is that if you're not vaccinated yet, you're probably not going to get vaccinated. So that business that's not coming is probably not going to come as long as they keep the vaccination requirements in order. And have we heard anything?
So there are some rumblings up in Canada on the political scene that some of the politicians are saying that Canada is one of the only G7 nations to still have these requirements in place to come in for as far as tourism goes. But there's not a whole lot of pushback. As of right now, the current vaccination status, I don't know if it's a law or what you want to call it, act,
Yeah.
expires on September 30th. That's how long that they've said that is going to stay in place now, and then they have to extend it. Obviously, we've been here, we've been in the States. I haven't been following any news that's been going on this week, if anything else has been updated. But they would have to renew that at the end of before September 30th.
September 30th,
I personally don't think they're going to not renew it at this point. I think they will renew it at least for a little while yet. But I mean, it's really anybody's guess. We've been wrong on
Yeah,
that before. and
when this whole thing started, everybody thought, it'll be open in April back in 2020, and it ended up being 2 years almost. So our predictions are not good, so we're not going to make any predictions.
Yeah, it's really tough to say. We don't get any insider information. Nobody really does. The border agents don't get any insider information. It's just when it comes out in the news, that's when everybody finds out. So we're just going by what we know and what we see and what's happening. As far as the political arena up there, and there's not a whole lot of pushback to drop those requirements at this time.
Yeah.
I don't think.
So yeah, it's kind of a wait and see. We're holding our breath, but I don't know how long we want to do that for.
Yeah. So
We'll see. But yes, business.
We just make do. That's all
Yeah.
we can do. It is what it is. We're not making the decision. There's tourism groups that are advocating for certain changes and things like that, and that's what it is. So we're just hanging tight. But people that aren't vaccinated are coming to the Minnesota lodges. So
Yes, they are.
If you're one of those people and you want to know about Lake Vermilion,
Yes.
you're at the right place. So
Yeah.
that's what people want to know about fishing.
Yeah, people want to know about fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Enough jib jab about border stuff. So one of the big things that when we first got to Everett Bay was 40,000 acres. So it's big. So the first thing that's on my mind is, where do you start? We only have a limited time to do an episode. We want to catch fish. Obviously, that's the name of the game. But there's a lot of other stuff to do here at Everett Bay Lodge, and we're not going to talk about that right now because we're not talking about fishing. But the first thing that I noticed, that Daryl and Debbie took us right in, and they put us down in front of a map, and they said, go here, go here, go here, go here. And
Use this.
Yeah, use this, go here.
We might not have listened.
Stay right here in this depth, go right around this point, and sure enough, there's fish. So that is a huge, and they do that with everybody. We didn't get any special treatment. That's awesome. So if you're coming here for the first time and you're worried about 40,000 acres, don't. We had 15-mile-an-hour winds yesterday, and it was not
we were
that
fine.
bad. We had
we got an
you had a couple
1850
white caps, but it
tiller.
was nothing to be too scared about.
No,
So
we were good.
big water, yes, but it fishes. I think it fishes a little bit smaller than 40,000 acres, which is
A lot
nice.
of shoreline, a lot of islands, a lot of places
Yeah.
to tuck into.
Yeah.
And from Everett Bay Lodge itself, the fishing spots are not far.
No, you're looking at a
So-
5-minute boat ride, and you're sitting on top of schools of walleyes. So that was pretty awesome.
So you can definitely make it work.
You can definitely make it work. The other thing is, and I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for talking about this, but they have a local guide come in every week. I think it's going to be every week. And he's going to sit and tell you what he's doing. And he's going to tell you what he's catching them on. And sometimes he throws out spots.
Yeah, we went and listened to him.
We went and
He
listened to
came
him.
on Monday, and we went and listened
Yep.
to him. And it was really informative. He was really helpful.
Yeah.
He went around and asked everybody kind of what they're targeting, so he could make sure that he covered, what everyone in the audience was covering, so you could go out and catch
Right,
fish.
yep.
And then he let you know what was working. He answered questions.
He showed us what he used.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it was
nice.
really informative.
And his name is David Schuick from Sunset Glow Guide Service. And he fishes all Lake Vermilion, and I think he fishes a couple other lakes in the area, but he pretty much focuses on Vermilion.
Yeah, very knowledgeable on the body of water.
Yep.
So
And
really helpful.
he had 2 walleye trips, and then the next day he had a morning muskie and then an afternoon walleye. So he's on the pulse of what's going on.
Yeah.
Spends a lot of time on the water. So that was really awesome.
It was.
I think that's a great idea, and you don't see that a whole lot.
We have a question: where are the big walleyes on Vermilion? And Chad Rosinski will get to your question in just a little bit.
Where are the big walleyes? They're still swimming. I know that, and they're probably near some rocks. We saw some big ones.
We marked a couple.
Yeah, we had a couple big
definitely.
ones on, and Sarah said the hook was too small on her spinner, and I made those. Those were homemade ones, so I took a verbal beating for that.
Tyler took it personally.
You're not going to see that on the camera,
No.
um, but it was a nice fish, and we lost it. But I think they're just roaming around right now. They're not really stacked up yet in schools. However, today, this afternoon, right before we came in, we found a rock hump, and right in that sweet spot again, that 19, 20, we had the mega live down, and to our left, 10 feet, were big boulders. To our right, 10 feet, flat.
Well, and
there was fish right on that transition,
Yeah.
and there were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at a time, and they were
Yeah.
starting to stack a little more
this is
vertical.
it. We're heading into that fall
Yeah.
period where they're going to start to school up, and it's going to be a little bit easier to target big walleyes. So someone just asked the local guide name, so I know we said it, but
Dave Schuick.
and
Dave
it's
Schuick.
Sunset Glow.
Sunset Glow
Guide
Guideservice.com, I believe, is the actual website.
And he told us, because of course we asked about big walleyes, and that's, we like to put big walleyes in the
Yeah.
boat. And he told us that it's in that summer time frame because the fish are so spread out, and Daryl told us the same thing. The fish are so spread out, so you're marking like 1 or 2, and that's why they're trolling and covering water. So it's hard to go out and like head hunt for those big walleyes.
Yeah.
You can do it, but fall is the time that you can come up and really start to target those big fish, because again,
Yeah.
they're going to be more schooled up, and you can mark them, and they're not going to go as far or be as
They're not
steep or
roaming as much.
spread
They're kind of
out.
setting
So-
up on those humps. They're waiting on the edges. Sometimes they go up on them. But you got multiple big fish using one piece of structure, and I think that's a really big deal. Instead of right now and early this summer, they're roaming. So you see one big fish, you go for 2 hours, you might see another one. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the last question.
Oh, what's the last question?
The here fishy fishy.
Yeah.
Does the here fishy fishy call attract big walleye? You know, we didn't try that this week.
We'll
so
try
maybe,
that tomorrow.
Yeah, that's tomorrow's. That could be on an episode next time. Our next episode, we'll try it out.
I don't want to skip this guy's question,
Okay.
so we're going to backtrack
Yeah.
a little bit. But Chad Rosinski asked, with the weird weather this year, did you see your catch rate down for muskies compared to previous years? It's a very excellent question.
Now, is this a question for Lake Vermilion or our experiences? We'll do it both.
Yeah,
So our experience is yes.
absolutely.
We found fish.
100%.
When we caught muskies, they were in spots that they're not supposed to be in that time of year, so we were a little surprised. Traditionally, midsummer is great weed bite, and it was rocks right away. Basically, right after the opener, all the way till now, it was a lot of rock-related fish, and that was big fish. There was some small fish utilizing weeds, but a lot of the muskies that we saw that were big, which is I consider anything over 40 is a big fish. They were all rocks. Sometimes it might have been a weed rock combo,
Yeah.
but the majority, 90% of them were straight rocks.
They did not hit the reed bite.
And so that was, we're bucktail people. We like to throw bucktails. Bucktails work on rocks, obviously. But those fish tended to stay a little deeper, too. They weren't up on top of those rocks as much. They were in that 10, 15. So bulldogs, cranks, jerk baits, gliders, stuff like that was putting more fish in the boat than bucktails. As far as Lake Vermilion, that's a question for the experts.
Yeah, we'll have
What was your catch rate? I mean, have you noticed a difference in fish?
Yeah, we were up. We
So
were
they were
up,
up.
and it had to do with a lot of different things: the water temperature, the fact that they were just coming in shallow. They were chasing all the fish that were spread out.
Yeah.
We were getting a lot more catch rate on a lot smaller lures. A lot of people
Okay.
were catching them on crawler harnesses and things
Oh,
like that,
yeah.
fishing for walleyes,
Cool.
Yeah.
and a lot of the baits that you talked about.
Right. So Vermilion, it was a good year. They caught fish in non-traditional ways, which I guess is not the normal here.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So
Yeah.
they put more people on a muskie, and then they get addicted, and then it becomes an issue. When you start getting addicted to muskie,
Maybe the
good
stand
Good
like-
times are coming.
Yeah,
times
there
are
you
coming.
go.
Yeah, the fall bite on Lake Vermilion is famous, so that's when the big girls come up and.
Someone asked what was the biggest muskie we caught there. So if you're talking about on Vermilion, we actually did not
We haven't muskie fished.
target muskie. We did not catch any.
But I did talk to
Nice,
Daryl
okay.
about that actually today, and he said he's got several over 50 this year. What's the
That's
biggest?
53.
53. So
That's
that is a
awesome.
dandy of a fish. But
Someone asked what our go-to trolling rod is.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Hero fishing. What's your
Hero fishing. Well, he knows the answer to that one. The go-to obviously is a Kramer custom rod. I like a 7-foot moderate action, so I like it to be a little softer, especially pulling cranks. I just don't want to have that fear of tearing hooks when a big fish hits because I'm moving. Now it's a really good question because when we were fishing today for the walleyes on Vermilion, we're going slow. We have spinners and we're going real slow. That's the key, is kind of a little bit slower. Keep that spinner really close to the bottom. So we were going 0.8 miles per hour. We try not to go over 1. So the fear of pulling hooks is not as large as it is when you're pulling cranks going 2.5 to 2.5. And so I like a moderate action rod. So when that fish hits, it's spongy. You got a little bit of give. As long as you get a good hook set and that fish hits it like it wants it, you shouldn't have to worry about too much. A good drag is very important. But then we always use mono. I know some guys argue about that, but I like mono when we troll because again it's a little bit of extra cushion. I'm not worried about ripping hooks because I've seen it a lot of times when you're going quick, and if I'm not on or Sarah's not on that neutral on the big motor, especially if you're using your big motor, if she's not on that or I'm not on that fast enough, you're tugging a 5-6 pound walleye going 3 miles an hour and say it's only got one treble hook and top jaw, you got a really good chance of that popping off, and nobody wants to lose a 6-pounder.
No, you just made your 6-pound walleye about 30 pounds.
Yeah, then it feels like it's a huge one and it gets away, and then you're thinking it was a 10-pounder. But so I like a moderate action. Fiberglass rods are good, but Eric Kramer makes a phenomenal regular graphite rod for that. So he's got really good blanks, and he can make you whatever you want for trolling. But that's my go-to, 7-foot, moderate action. Medium heavy, something like that. Depends what you're trolling. If you're pulling like on Everett Bay here on Vermilion, they're pulling 2.5 ounce bottom bouncers, so heavy stuff. So you might want to beef your rod up a little bit. And then if you're trolling cranks or whatever, you can get away with that medium action. So
we'll come back, Cal, to your question. We just had, are you using spinner reels?
spinning reels.
Yeah.
We use bait casters for trolling. You can. There's guys out there using. I saw a guy use a spin cast today, and he caught a fish right in front of us. So it doesn't really matter what you, as long as that bait is down in their face, I think that's the big
Yeah,
thing.
what you feel comfortable with. I think
You got to be close to the bottom when you're trolling the flats out here. I mean, if you're 3 feet above the bottom, we've witnessed it. Those fish do not want to come up.
No.
They do not want to leave the bottom.
Need to be on the bottom. As
Yeah.
Daryl said, you need to be on the bottom.
Need to
He's
be
like,
on the bottom.
you got to up your weight, and
But
you might not listen.
But what's cool, it's really neat. You know, electronics, people say you have too many electronics or it's cheating or I don't have all that stuff, they're too expensive. Anything worth having, fishing wise, costs money. And I'm not trying to sell anything right now, but when you have the Mega Live and you have the side imaging, you learn so much about what's going on. And when you're at a lake for a week vacation, you want that learning curve to be as flat as possible. And we saw today when we found that hump, those fish would come up. Those jigging fish would come up and they'd hit it actually really high, 3 feet off the bottom. They come up, that's what would make them hit.
Yeah.
So trolling, nothing's coming up high. Those fish want to be belly to the bottom because they're eating crawdads, they're eating whatever is moving, bug larvae, whatever. But those fish on the humps, they're eating a crawdad coming off a rock or coming down transitioning or minnows getting blown in from the wind. So it's really neat to see the change in the fish's behavior on certain structures.
Yeah.
So the Mega Live is, some people say it's not fair. It's fun to use. That's what I can say about it.
Yeah, it's a little addicting.
Yeah, sometimes you get caught looking at that, not your rod.
Yeah. So Cal asked, do you see easing the new regulations on bringing dead minnows or crawlers over into Canada? The answer is no. They're going to actually probably go the opposite way and get stronger reinforcement on that.
That's a really good question. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I can almost guarantee you and promise you that that's never going to go back to bringing
It's not.
live bait across the border. That's probably never going to happen.
They are, so the M&R officers informed us when we were up ice fishing, actually in January we got stopped, and they told us that we had to have a receipt on us from the bait dealer that we got the bait. Your receipt is good for 2 weeks for your live bait, and so if you have a receipt for 2 dozen minnows and you have 4 dozen minnows, it doesn't add up. Obviously if you use minnows throughout the week, they can put 2 and 2 together and do the math there, but they are enforcing that, and they told us that it's just been put into play and they're giving people warnings, but they told us in January that this summer they would be ticketing. And we at camp made a point to really remember to give everybody receipts. It's hard to remember, to get in the habit of it, but and so we were good. We made sure we remembered to give everybody live bait receipts, but other camps I know did have people ticketed for not having their live bait receipts. So they're getting stricter and
Cracking
stricter
down
with
on
it to avoid invasive species stuff. I just lost my
Train of thought?
what the big concern is with
Invasive species.
yeah, I know, but there was
Diseases?
a certain disease that they're really worried about. So it's just going to get worse.
That's not getting lifted.
No, and Canada's becoming more strict, even so as far as bait dealers and where you can trap and buy bait, you have to be in a certain bait zone. You can't transport live bait across zones, even in Ontario, much less even across the border. So no, it's just going to.
But having said all that, yes,
more.
it's a bummer that you can't bring bait and you got to buy it up there. But to be honest, it's the best thing for the lakes up there. It's the best thing for the water systems. If you don't have to introduce an invasive species to a new body of water, don't. So I think they're doing the right thing about that by not bringing, because it used to be crawlers you could bring up in artificial bedding, and they're getting rid of all that. And obviously it's been a while since you could bring minnows up.
Yeah. Well, even dead.
You can't bring any dead stuff up.
Several times when we crossed, it was, do you have any bait? No. And then they'd be like, do you have any minnows, crawlers, dead bait? No. Do you have anything that was once alive and now is like obliterated? And we're like,
They
no.
ask, do you have anything that's in pieces? No.
Yeah. So they're they're cracking down. You can't bring anything across. So.
Yep. And I just thought of something we forgot to mention at the start of this.
What's that?
We're giving away stuff.
Oh yeah.
We forgot about that.
Yeah, we did.
We're giving away. Northland is giving
stay
us
tuned.
to give you guys a bunch of their new jig heads and tackle that's coming out. The tungsten jig heads, you're going to get some of those.
Oh yeah, we could have brought.
Yeah, I know. I
some
should have
in
brought
the
my
show,
tackle
but
box.
MVP jigs, I
An
think.
MVP jigs is on there. The weedless fireball jigs are on there. A free hat.
Yep, some really cool stuff. And
a lot
then
of cool stuff. Stuff we got to use and it works.
and we're giving away
Yes.
a gift card to Sportsman's Journal Store. So
So we're going to give away 2 exciting prizes.
I don't know. Is Matt doing like figuring out?
Oh, is he?
who's
I don't know.
gonna
I
win?
haven't talked
know.
to
We
him.
haven't asked.
We'll figure it out.
No.
We'll pick 2 people at the end.
We'll just randomly scroll through. So make sure you comment, ask a question, because then that's how we'll go through. I guess is we'll just scroll through the comments. But we can move on to any questions that you guys have about Everett Bay Lodge itself. Any questions on cabins or their amenities or location? We talked about that.
Yeah.
But any questions on the lodge?
What I will do, I'm gonna back away.
Then we can pass it over to
Yeah,
Debbie. She can
we're gonna
come in.
bring Debbie Hoffman in, and Sarah can run the show because nobody wants to look at me. So I'm gonna leave and let Debbie come on in, and you guys can talk it up about Lake Vermilion.
Yeah, so Debbie's going to come in and join me, and we're going to talk about Everett Bay Lodge and just the resort itself and what all the amenities it has to offer. And if you guys have any questions, make sure you write them down. I should give my phone to Tyler since he's no longer on screen
Give it
and
to me.
be in charge of the
I can
questions, so I
definitely
don't have
be
to
in charge of the
multitask.
questions.
But yeah, so you can tell us how many cabins you have and size of cabins.
Yeah.
And,
So first, we're thrilled that you guys are here for this week.
Oh, thank you.
It's been a lot of fun and great to hear all your fish stories.
well, thank you. We're happy to be here.
But yeah, so we've got 10 cabins, and the sizes vary from a 5-bedroom down to a 1-bedroom, so we can accommodate groups up to 14 all the way down to 2 or 1.
That's awesome.
Yep. We also have docking for each cabin. We've got electricity at the end of each dock. Gerald
Huge.
just redid that this year, so it works great.
That's awesome because
Yeah.
we're a stickler about the boats.
We
so
talked
it's very
about
nice.
that in our filming session today. We talked about the boats and the launch and the docking, and it was quite an extensive conversation because Tyler's very particular about the boat.
No one should ever run out of battery power when they're on the lake.
Yeah, I can't believe that happened.
No.
I have a question that needs to come up
Yeah.
from Bob. Openings for fall? Question mark. There you go.
Yeah, so we've got a few cabins available for mid-September all the way up to October 8th. So we close the resort down October 8th for the season. So we do have some cabins still available. So if you're interested, call us.
Give out your website, please do.
Or visit our website, everettbaylodge.com. Our availability is accurate and current. So you can take a look at the cabins,
Yeah, that's
the
awesome.
amenities, the boat. If you need a boat, we've got the availability for each of our boats out there. If you're not a computer savvy person, you can call me and we'll talk through what you need and get you set up for the fall.
And
Yeah.
fall's going to be an amazing time. I mean, the fishing now, and you can see it's just picking up as the water temp is going to start to drop, and the cabins are set up really nice. The lodge itself is set up really nice. You guys have done a really, really good job. And that's, from one camp person to
Yeah.
another. Like,
I'm sorry to interrupt, ladies, but we got questions coming in from all over the
Okay.
joint.
All right.
How's the water level on Vermilion?
So when we started this spring, we were 3 to 4 feet high.
Okay.
But now we've leveled off, so we're about where we need to be for this time of year. So no issues with getting in and out of your boats. Daryl put in a really nice dock system this year. We're on floaters, so regardless of the water temperature, water heights, our docks go up and down. So that was
That's
a
helpful.
great
Mhm.
improvement that Daryl worked on this year. So water levels are where they should be for this time of year.
They keep coming. Bar or restaurant? Obviously, I know the answer to that. But
Yeah, so we do not have a bar or restaurant on site here, but we do have some great recommendations for restaurants and bars that are 5 minutes away. So there's no shortage of great places to
Right.
go
Yeah.
and grab a meal.
And the cabins are fully equipped. Cabins are. Wow,
We've got full kitchens
There we
in
go.
the cabins.
That's what I needed help with.
Full kitchens, we've got the refrigerators, microwaves, toasters,
Mm-hmm.
coffee makers, everything you'll need to make a meal. We also have charcoal grills outside, so you can have your fish fry. Most of our cabins do have decks, so you get a great view of Everett Bay. So you can make your own meals, or you can head out and hit one of our restaurants that are close by.
Yeah.
okay.
awesome.
Another gentleman just said they had booking in 2020, and then COVID hit, and he's looking to come back in October. And he just said he's hitting the website when he gets home.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Thank
There
you.
go. Yep. And then we have another question. How far in advance do you need to book?
Great question. So we can book out 1 year in advance. So we give the guests that are currently staying with us the first choice to rebook their cabin and the week. So we can book 1 year out. But if you're looking to come next year, we've got openings for fishing opener all the way up, through May, June, and July. So if you're looking for a summer vacation or a spring vacation, we can take your reservations right now.
And don't wait too long. Like if you see a cabin, you want
Absolutely.
you want to snag it.
Yes, we've got some weeks that are completely booked,
Mhm.
which is great,
That
and,
is.
and other weeks that we're looking to fill. So yeah, don't wait. We usually start to really fill up around the holidays. So when families get together, they talk about what their plans are,
Yep.
and then our phone starts ringing and our website goes crazy with those bookings.
Mhm.
So book early.
And we talked about, when we were out filming, we talked about that it's the southernmost Canadian shield lake. So if you are familiar with Northwest Ontario and can't get there or whatever, Lake Vermilion is a great option. It's one of the Canadian shield lakes, so it fishes like Canada, only you're still in Minnesota, so you're on the north side of Minnesota. You get that feel, and the lake, like you said, 40,000 acres, so you can travel and you can get away from, get away from the cabins and get away from the boats. You can do what you want, so Tower, Minnesota, the town Tower is 10 minutes away.
10 minutes away. Yes.
So amenities to do there. Like I said, I ran to Target. We went to Virginia, so it was a half an hour. That's a big deal for me when we're coming
It is.
down.
Target should be sponsoring this.
I know. And so there's amenities, or like if you forget something, you can run to the store. It's not a big deal. So convenient. But
Yeah.
and the cabins are really nice. You guys have Wi-Fi, satellite TV. Reagan is a big fan of those two things.
Mhm.
There's a playground, a sandbox, so lots of stuff to do besides just fishing as well. So
Yep.
On-
In the
go
summer
ahead.
months, we've got the pool open. We've got a game room. We also have a sauna. So
yeah, the sauna,
so
yeah.
there's a lot for everyone to do, just right here on the property.
Another question is, do you offer any hunting?
We do not offer any hunting.
Okay. It's a decent question from Joseph. Are the rates better during the week, or are they all the same?
So they're all the same.
Okay.
However, we run specials for fishing opener as well as fall rates.
do you guys do week-long stays only, or do you do short stays? I guess that's a good question.
Yeah, another really good question. So in the summer months, so June, July, and August, we do Saturday to Saturday. When we get into the springtime in May and now in September, we'll do some shorter stays, 3-night minimum. But we do shorter stays on the bookends of our season.
There you go. Well, and
Yep.
you want to be here a whole week. I mean, there's so
Yeah,
much
no
to
question about
experience.
Our trips are always too short.
Yeah.
That's why we
And-
come back.
And the weather's been, I know it's the weather, it can change, whatever, but it's been absolutely beautiful. We've been able to sit outside and really enjoy ourselves, and I'm sure that a lot of the summer you have that, you can go out and sit on your deck, or you can go down by the fire pit. We talked about that, somebody asked about restaurants, right? You can go down to the fire pit and have a fudgy pie.
Exactly. And we have amazing sunsets. So if you're into, the scenery, the sunsets on Vermilion are spectacular. So when you come up, make it a point to make sure that you see that sunset. We've also had northern lights this
Yeah,
week.
I was going to say that.
So
yeah.
for those of you who timed it right or who stay up late,
I wasn't
the
bad.
northern lights have been phenomenal this week. And we get them quite often throughout the summer. So
That's
it's
awesome.
another added bonus.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
Are pets allowed?
We love pets, but we do not allow them at the resort. That's another great question.
Someone asked what the name of the resort is again. They just joined.
Yeah, they just joined.
Oh, Everett Bay Lodge.
Your daughter took care of that, though, on a
Oh,
comment.
did she?
Yeah, she's all over it.
Good
Good
girl,
job.
Nicole.
The question, how many other resorts are on the lake? Do you even know that?
I would say there's maybe 40 or so
Yeah.
other resorts scattered around around the lake.
The location for Everett Bay Lodge is really nice. But I forget what we've talked about in the live and what we talked about in the boat, for the episode. But all paved roads right to the resort. The launch is right next to the resort. It's paved. The bay itself that Everett Bay is located in is very protected, so your boats are very protected. We're just tied up at the dock in I keep saying protected, but protected bay. And from the wind, we talked about we had a wind, a 10 or 15 mile an hour wind. I don't even know what direction it was, but
South end.
south, yeah. So and we didn't. There was not much of a huge wind here, so it's a really great location. Easy to get to. There's fishing, literally. Literally right around. We came
caught a
out
walleye
of
there.
Everett Bay. Yeah, we did. We caught a walleye. We came out of Everett Bay, and there were boats fishing there. And then obviously in the spring, your shallow weedy bay is going to be a popular spot to come and target fish. And then, we drove. The most we drove was 20 minutes, and in our boat, and we caught a ton of fish. So it's a really good location.
Do you offer ice fishing? Is the question.
We do not. So we are open from the Minnesota Fishing Opener, so around May 13th, all the way through. This year we're closing October 8th. And then we close for the season, so we do not offer ice fishing.
Okay, and go ahead.
I was just going to say, there is ice fishing nearby. People do set up right outside the mouth of the bay. There's roads plowed. There's an extensive snowmobile trail system. Debbie wants me to
You can come around, Daryl. Come
Daryl.
join us.
Everybody wants to see Daryl.
There
He
he
is.
is.
The voice. Yes, the voice behind the screen.
So yeah, there is good ice fishing. We have out of McKinley Park. There's a road where they set up a lot for ice fishing out there, and ice fishing is fairly decent. There's a lot of ciscos and whitefish that get caught, as well as walleye and northern. You're not getting muskies, you're not getting smallies per se, but ice fishing is pretty good. We do it all the time. Except for when it's 36 below zero, we kind of stay in and try to stay warm.
I don't blame you.
This guy's Corey is after my own heart. Is there good crappie fishing nearby?
Crappie, yes, there's
Good question.
fantastic crappie fishing here. Most of it, let me just take a step back. Most of the east side of the lake where we're located is your mud, sand, gravel, rock structures. The west side of the lake has a lot more weeds and stumps, and fishes a lot more similar to some southern lakes. There's a lot of crappie opportunity over there, but over here we've got several holes, especially in the spring, where you can go maybe 5-10 minutes out the bay. We've got several small protected bays near us as well, where there's a lot of good crappie fishing.
We have a comment that says that is some good-looking lodge owners right there.
Was that Pete?
No,
That's funny.
it was not Pete.
Okay.
He's got ringers in the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You guys ran into Pete fishing out on the lake, and he said we didn't know what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Too.
So
So
we had
that's
some-
why I wonder.
We had some guy yelling at us from his boat, "Don't listen to anything Daryl says. He doesn't know anything." And Daryl's neighbor, very good friend, he was just razzing him.
Yep.
He didn't introduce himself. He just told us Daryl was lying. So it was pretty funny. But, yeah.
Let's talk about the walleyes a little bit more.
Okay.
What is it? Live bait or are we artificial? What's the go-to all year? Can you do it both?
You
Or
can definitely do both. Go-to is live bait. I tell people when they come up here, we could catch them on crawlers all year long. If I could put a crawler down a hole in the ice, I could probably catch them there. This lake is made up of, the forage on the lake is made up of mostly crayfish. They're an invasive species, the rusty crayfish. They're crawling all over the place in the sand and the gravel and on the transitions. Pull a crawler through those. And a lot of people ask, what depth are they at? Well, they're at whatever depth the crayfish are crawling at. Sometimes it's 18, sometimes it's 25, sometimes, you're right on the transition, sometimes you're in the sand and gravel, or sometimes you're in the mud. In the mud, there's bugs all over the place. I've been seeing this all summer long, the difference between a crayfish walleye, where they're just packed and they're dense and they're heavy, versus the bug walleye, where they're eating them out of the mud, where they're longer, skinnier, kind of softer. You can totally tell what these fish are eating.
Yeah.
But yes, you can throw artificial on there. Whatever looks like a crayfish, pretty much will catch anything. The other thing is these fish come up, and the bigger fish, there was a question earlier about where to find the bigger ones. They're in the rocks eating the crayfish. They come up in the evenings and in the mornings into the big Volkswagen size rocks, and they pull the crayfish out next to the smallies in between the rocks, and they gorge on those crayfish all day long.
Tyler actually caught a crayfish on a
I
worm.
did. I was lucky.
Yes.
We have a couple good questions here. How many islands? It's kind of a cool number. How many islands are on the lake?
There is one for every day of the year, 365 islands.
That's a cool stat.
That is a cool yeah.
Another good question. Size of spinners.
Small. You're going slow. You're going generally 0.8 to 1 mile an hour. The smaller the spinner you have, the better, because it'll turn as you're going slower. If you use the bigger spinners, you're just going to sit there and flap, and it's not going to do anything for you. You need to have the small, size 2 or 3 largest.
Yep. Question straight to Daryl. What is your favorite walleye presentation? From Twin Cities Walleyes Unlimited.
My favorite walleye presentation is jig and wrap, snap jigging, that kind of stuff. What I generally do when I'm fishing, like we're talking about, we'll pull bottom bouncers with crawlers on them. I'll have a jig and wrap rigged up, so as you're going along, you're marking fish onesie, twosie across the bottom. You come across a school of them, you hit spot lock, you just jig them up. Like you guys were saying earlier, you can get them up higher off the bottom. You get that reaction strike, and it's an intense strike when they're doing it that way. And I find that you can sort through the smaller ones and get to the bigger ones that way too.
Michelle asked what types of spinners we were using.
We were using Northland live bait spinners.
Size 2. Yeah. So just like what Daryl said, little, tiny.
And one thing that Dave suggested when he did his presentation, and it's something that Tyler and I talked about too, is you always want to have different things on different rods in the boat. And one thing that Dave said was, actually I found it really kind of profound, because it's not something that we focus on a lot, is color. And he said color absolutely matters a lot on Lake Vermilion. And he said, so he'll start out, if he's got 4 guide clients in the boat, he'll start out everybody with a different color. And he'll notice that throughout the day, sometimes, obviously one color might win over another, but he said like there's certain colors that like they might just shut off. So all of a sudden in the afternoon, gold might just be done. Like the fish won't hit a gold color. So Tyler and I were using different colors, and we were trying to match the rusty crayfish, stuff.
And I can attest to what Dave said firsthand. I was in the boat with him several times, and right by his console, he's got 10 different color hooks. And you do a pink one on one side, a white one on the other side, and I didn't believe this either, but we proved it. They're all hitting on pink, nothing on white. You switch over to pink, and they start hitting on pink.
Yeah.
Now, how you choose which color to use, I don't know, but
yeah, you just play around.
Just gotta
right?
go.
Yeah.
How deep is Lake Vermilion? Is the question.
So Lake Vermilion generally is about 25 to 30 feet deep on average. We've got some deep holes that are up to 70 feet or so, several on the east side here. But in general, it's 25 to 30 feet deep. What does that mean for fall time and turnover? I would imagine that is also part of the question too. So we don't really have a very intense turnover, obviously, because we don't have the stratification in the water columns. So we don't get the mucky water. We kind of get the bloom on top of the water from the trees and stuff like that, but it doesn't last very long, and we don't get that turnover. So it's that's why the fishing is so good throughout the fall.
So this is a question about what is the best time of day to fish Vermilion, and today, Sarah can talk about, was a little strange because...
Well, so we didn't get out until a little bit later today. We were doing some other B-roll and things like that. So, but it started to pick up for us probably about 1:30 in the afternoon, and it was warm today. So water temperature actually was going up. It increased by 4 degrees today. It was 74 when we got off the water. It was 69 yesterday. So something unusual. Normally in fall they like the water temperature dropping. and they kind of shut off when that water temperature goes up. But typically, I think from what we saw is it's more of like a morning and a evening bite.
Yeah, it's really weird right now. What you saw, we had a high sky, sunny, calm, warm day. That surface temperature goes up to 74. We've not been past 74, 75 all summer. The wind blows tomorrow, you go to the same spot, it's going to be 68, 69. But with the fish spread all over the place and eating, gorging constantly like I've been talking about, I would have to say that any time of the day is actually pretty good. It just goes in feeding windows and spurts. I mean, these fish fill up. A lot of the fish that we're seeing in the bait house and stuff being cut up are absolutely plumb full of food, and yet they're still biting your worm, right? They're still eating.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we fished pretty predominantly like from 8 a.m. to we came in at about 6 o'clock every night. We actually weren't out on the evening, and we caught fish all day. We did notice that so we'd be on a spot and the fishing would kind of shut down, and then all the boats would go to a different spot, and then so they'd be like, oh, you're targeting that area now. Those fish are hungry. So you just kind of move around and find the hungry fish. But yeah, you can definitely put fish in the boat all day.
This is an intriguing question from Michael. He's been told that the east side has bigger walleye but fewer. West side has more fish but smaller. True or false?
Coke or Pepsi, Ford or Chevy, east side, west side. So it's kind of like two different lakes, like I was saying before. You've got the weed fish and weed lines, and then you've got the rock and the sand and the gravel over here. It's kind of been an age-long debate between the East Enders and the West Enders up here. But yeah, we have bigger, better fish on the east side.
A great question. Are there any boundary water access points from Lake Vermilion?
Yes, so they're at Trout Lake Portage. Trout Lake is in the boundary waters, and Trout Lake Portage is up here on the east side, on the north side of the east end of the lake, up behind Pine Island. There's a portage. You can have a 25 horse or less motor going in there. Usually it's the smaller 16-foot rowboats. You can portage over there. There's a guy that runs the portage, gets you the passes and everything you need to get up in there. There's a limited amount of passes that they hand out in any given week, I believe it is. But yeah, and actually we've been trying to run some trips out of Everett Bay Lodge to take people up there midweek or whatever, when they're sick of catching all these walleye Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they can go up for a little change of scenery.
Yeah, we saw the other day, 2 days ago, we saw a lot of canoers. We were up in that area, and a lot of canoeists.
Yep, the boats with the racks on them carrying the canoes and stuff.
Yeah, and even canoeing. There was a group that was canoeing, and then a boat was coming, headed right at the canoe, and we're kind of just watching, wide-eyed, oh, what's gonna happen? And it slows down, and the canoe people throw all their stuff in the boat, and they load the boat up. They load the canoe into the boat. They were done. They were done canoeing, so it was pretty funny. So, we covered fishing, we covered the lodge, we covered fall. If you guys are interested in coming up, make sure you get a hold of Daryl and Debbie. Check out their website. Debbie said the availability is current on their website, everettbaylodge.com, which is awesome. It's really, I like to go on and check out availability and stuff and see what my options are. But anywhere from 1 to 14 for the group size, so make sure you guys do that. I know I saw somebody said that Lake Vermilion was a bucket list trip. Do it. It's awesome. It's been an amazing week. We've had a really good time. We're sad to be headed home, but so be it. We'll be back for sure. We really enjoyed our time at Lake Vermilion. But if there's any last minute questions,
I got some. They're coming in.
Oh, okay. We got some.
It's like election night.
Last minute questions.
Can you fish anywhere on the lake with a Minnesota license, or are you limited certain parts of the lake?
Whole lake.
Whole lake.
It's all located inside of Minnesota.
Yep.
And is the night bite any good?
A lot of people fish walleyes in the evening. A lot of the muskie people go out and throw some stuff. There's a good night bite. Like you mentioned before, we've got some stained water up here, so it's a lot of vibration. It's a lot of movement type stuff. But there's not a lot of people that do it. Like if you go down to some of the southern lakes in Minnesota, like Mille Lacs, for instance, is known for a night bite. We don't have that up here, but yeah, definitely can catch fish at night.
Yeah, you probably don't need to go out at night as much because you can go out during the day and catch them.
Plus, I will add too, not a lot of people want to go out on a Canadian Shield Lake with rocks at night if you're not
Exactly.
familiar with it.
Exactly,
So we
yeah.
preach that to a lot of our guests as well.
It was, I will say, you know, being our first time and being on some scary bodies of water with navigation and stuff, it was fairly easy to navigate. You
Felt
know?
safe, yeah.
We felt safe. Obviously, pay attention, watch your map. I pulled up my Navionics, and then we had our live chart up and making sure we didn't hit anything. But I thought it was fairly easy to navigate. Now we were, you know, down here in the east side, so I don't know what the west side looks like. But.
Before we go, we didn't talk about this, but I know it's a big deal. Smallmouth bass.
Smallmouth bass in spring is phenomenal. We've got guys that come up here from down south, catch 100 fish a day, nice big ones. If you go out on our Facebook post, you can see pictures of some phenomenal smallmouth bass. What I said about the walleyes eating the crayfish,
Yeah.
times 100 for the smallies. They'll spit up crayfish parts as you're reeling them in. It's just they're packed full of them.
Yeah, I imagine. I caught one. We were targeting walleyes. We caught a smallmouth, and she was solid.
And I would also add, it's good year round too. So we had some people come last week. They were throwing some crankbaits up on the rocks and stuff, and they were nailing them. They were getting into some nice northerns and stuff in the same place that the smallies were roaming.
Yeah, we talked about how we'd like to come up and target smallies sometime. So, but muskies is probably next. That's killing me all the time.
Yeah, we need to put a date together for some
know.
muskies.
I know. Seeing them on the live, and I was like, I need to
Such
be
a
casting.
tease.
Yes. Oh my goodness. But it is what it is. But yeah. So we, if there's any last minute questions or say hello because we're gonna do our we're gonna pick our winners pretty quick here.
Yep. Whenever you're ready.
We're gonna do. Are we drawing twice or just one?
We're gonna do 2.
So we're gonna do 2 winners. So one person is gonna get the Northland Fishing Tackle package. So it's about $75 worth of gear and a hat. So $100 worth of stuff from Northland Fishing Tackle. It's gonna be some of their new stuff, their MVP jig, their weedless live bait jigs. What else did they say was in the package? I forgot.
Tungsten.
Their new tungsten. I put those on a couple times today. And then we're going to give away $100 to Sportsman's Journal website as well.
Yep.
So, is Tyler handling that?
I am ready. So the
Do
first.
you want to come back over here in this?
Sure. I'll come back over there. Yep.
You're done powdering your nose over there?
I am.
Make sure you go to Everett Bay Lodge. Check out their availability if you want to get up here in fall,
I'll scoot over
or
here.
check out
Thanks,
availability
guys.
for next year. You definitely want to come check out Lake Vermilion. Everett Bay Lodge.
So we got 2 names drawn, and the Sportsman's Journal will be Tally Borealis, if that's a real name.
That's a real name.
Well, the Borealis is a beautiful name. So Tally, you will get a $100 gift card from Sportsman's Journal. All we need from you is message us your address, and we'll ship it to you.
No, message us your
Oh.
email, and we will probably send you an email.
Oh, an email certificate. Okay, sorry about that.
But yeah, just send us your email.
And then the Northland winner is Corey Scow. We'll get the Northland prize package. So congratulations to you 2 guys.
Yeah, so make sure you send us a message with your information. So Corey, the Northland package is going to be probably coming through the mail.
Yes, that one would be mailed.
Talia, we will get that emailed to you, and you can hop on our website, and that's our store, Sportsman's Journal. It's on sportsmansjournaltv.com. Our store is linked to that. And then you can send us a message. You
send
can
us a message.
a private
Yeah.
message with your email, and we'll get that to you.
Message Sportsman's Journal.
And then Corey, you can send us your address, and we'll pass that along to Northland Fishing Tackle and get that sent out to you.
You'll be catching big fish in no time.
We appreciate all of you guys joining us tonight. We really do. We know that time is precious, and taking time out of your evening to join us and listen to us talk to ourselves. I feel like I talk
Well,
to
we're looking
myself
at
a lot,
ourselves.
but yeah, it's a little weird here. But we appreciate it all the time. We appreciate you guys watching very much. We appreciate all your support that you give us. It means a lot, and you guys will be seeing new episodes soon.
Yes, that's actually a really good way to end it. When's our first air date?
I don't know.
Whatever the first Saturday in December is.
first
I don't
Saturday
even know
in
yet.
December or last.
I think it's the
November,
3rd.
But,
December 3rd, I think.
Yeah, and all the we talked about it. Bally's North, Bally's Wisconsin, Bally's Midwest.
17 weeks of new
Pursuit.
stuff.
We're also going to be on KOTV and streaming on Waypoint, and then of course things are going to go up on YouTube as well. So yeah, that's the ways you can check us out. Please, if you're wondering how you can support us a little more, just all we ask is like and comment on our social media pages and stuff like that, and share stuff. That goes a long way for us. It helps us out a lot, and it's something fairly simple and easy that
Yep.
you guys can do, but. We appreciate it very much, and we will see you guys all in December, I guess.
Yep.